Well,
Okay,
it's the end of the year, so
so with no expenses spared,
yeah.
I decided to light a fire under our broadcast and to set the mood and to make us rethink what we did last year. Was this a good idea? Was this a bad idea?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
ho-
been a hectic year.
it's been a hectic year. Did we miss any weeks of posting? I think one or two.
Too.
And this is amazing
Hmm?
for a podcast that is new. First, I'm going to start with the stats. I think that 13,000 subscribers is an amazing number, and let's hope for more. Now,
Mhm.
let's first roll the intro, and then we'll take the look back, what we did, why we did it, do we actually know why we did it, and so on. So, roll the intro. Okay.
Intro rolled.
For the people who are listening this on the headphones, I'm so sorry for you guys.
I'm not.
Anyways, let's start. When we were discussing this thing, what I thought that we are going to do is that we are going to review the year in the tech, not the podcast, the year in our podcast. So I was preparing to review the tech year, but then I realized just by following what we did during the last 12 months, you can actually follow what was happening in the tech. We did a few deviations, but other than that, we are more or less in line with the times. So when we started way back then, a year ago, because this is officially a year, we started with AI.
Mhm.
And at that point in time, AI was, I think, 2 weeks old
Mhm.
or a week old. And we were trying to recognize what is going to be the good and the bad things about the how AI looks and how AI works, and what is going to be the end result for the IT community. I must say that remembering what I said way back then, AI didn't fulfill what I thought it would, because I thought that the growth would be exponential. And from what I see right now, and we are going to have a separate episode on that, AI has basically stalled. It created a technology. Technology is amazing, but then, as with all other technologies, people started abusing it, and the core technology is slowly moving forwards. It has an evolution, but it is not that breakneck speed that it had probably in the first 2 or 3 months of the last year.
Mhm.
What do you think about this?
Well, we have an episode about that
Yes.
as well. But generally speaking, yeah, our first episode was about ChatGPT, which coincidentally was also related to our episode number 5 too. We did the future of work related to integration between Microsoft apps and services and ChatGPT, which actually happened, and we talked about that as well. Generally speaking, this year has been a challenging one. We've done many, and then plus many hours of recordings. Lost a lot of time disassembling equipment. Moved the couple of times actually, and it feels a little bit weird to be back here where we started, but it's like a full circle type of thing. So I wanted to do while we're here, I wanted to do this episode on purpose so that we can kind of like do the full circle and then move on. That being said, I do have a couple of thoughts about not necessarily AI, just general about stuff that we did last year in terms of the 50 episodes that we did. And I have some of favorites, and I have some of them that are, let's say, less favorite ones. But I also think that there's a trend slowly but surely creeping up on us in terms of which episodes people like the most. Not necessarily driven by what people like the most, but you do pay attention to what people are telling you by if nothing else, by statistics. So I wanted to have a chat about that as well in terms of what we did this year, which were our really good episodes or really bad ones as well, and move forward and discuss what we're going to do next year, which is going to be another year of growth, I think, again.
I have absolutely no idea what we're going to do next year. I have a few things prepared. I know that you do. And from this point in time, in the middle of the Christmas break, I think that rethinking what we did is a good thing, but thinking ahead is probably hard. So as Homer Simpson says, thinking hard, I'm not in that mood right now. So
Yeah.
let's first do the review.
You are in the mood to test the couch cushions, as you said a couple of days ago.
Yes, and
That was good.
then the other thing is that let's put this into perspective. 50 episodes times something like 2 hours. It takes you 2 hours to at least 2 hours to get the episode edited. So 4 hours. So what we wasted something
Actually,
like
it's 5 hours per episode on average. 3 hours for equipment assembly, disassembly, recording, and production. Roughly 5 hours per episode.
so it's something like 250 hours. So we wasted 10 days of our lives on this podcast.
I wouldn't call it waste.
Yes,
yeah.
but then when you compare it to the amount of hours that we spend sleeping and so on, it's an enormous amount investment. But
Actually,
I think
the fact that you are in couch testing, cushion testing mode makes this quite a valuable effort to do this episode, because that means we can chillax and discuss this without any real effort and or plan I definitely don't have a plan. I'm just going to go off the cuff, remember some of the episodes, so I don't have anything prepared. What's on my iPad is actually just a list of episodes, nothing else.
I'm just going to go with the this is my default state, so I don't come prepared
Yeah.
to do podcasts.
Yeah, I know, but
So this is one thing, and the other thing is I'm vertical, and this is not no bueno.
not an optimal position.
Yes, and these and I must admit that the new studio has much better seats.
Desk, chairs.
No, the desk I can live with, but the chairs themselves are these are too stiff and
They're too shallow.
they're too shallow, too
Yeah.
steep, and they have a couple of other problems. So we started the year with AI. AI was something that was stretching throughout the year, and we mentioned it in a lot of episodes. What we basically did when you take a look at what we talked about was more or less we switched between a couple of different themes. First was AI. Another one was you bitching about Windows 11. And this is probably most of the rest of the episodes.
No.
In at least one moment. We talked a lot about, to be honest and to make more sense, we talked about a lot about education.
And hardware.
We talked a lot about education, and this is what I like. We had a few amazing talks with a couple of our students, and these are the things that I cherish the most, because I like talking to students and I like to see what motivates people. We were talking about motivation.
Yes.
Because this is the thing that actually motivates me, talking about motivation. This is one of those things that breaks the cycle, because I often get demotivated by the stupid people around me. And then when I realized, no, not you. When I realized that I can talk to you and talk about motivation, suddenly I'm motivated to do something. So this is one of those strange things that happens. We were trying to touch on mobile OSs, and I think that judging from the numbers and judging from the feedback that we got, mobile OSs are not that interesting to people anymore.
One episode was, and I get why. It was a little bit of a clickbaity title as well, which was my mistake, let's call it that way. But generally speaking, you are right. I agree with you, not all that interesting, because it's a chewed out subject, I think.
I don't think it's chewed out. I think that right now we have what we have. When it comes to competition between Windows and Linux and Windows and macOS, more or less the cards have been dealt, the same as they are with iPhones and Androids. But the thing that is different is that when we are dealing with iPhones, Androids, and different OSs, the thing is that when you're buying a new computer, you can sort of kind of change the OS and continue working. So it was not a problem for me to change from Windows to Mac OS and then go back.
Okay.
Because I don't have that much invested in software and hardware, and I'm used to basically having to buy new software and so on. When it comes to OSs
Okay.
on mobile devices, first people like the UI, so they're used to UI, and the other thing is that they usually have a couple of even more than a couple of applications bought in the appropriate store. So they're less likely to switch to the other store and try to start from scratch.
Okay.
So I think that mobile OS is something that is going to be a thing, but I don't see any breakthroughs coming in this part of the hardware. What I am seeing is that we are going to have a hell of a lot more coming when it comes to Windows versus Mac OS versus Linux versus whatever is going to happen next. Because with every major switch in hardware architecture, we are going to see a major switch in operating system market. And Microsoft is right now in a peculiar position because they're trying to do all the things at once. And the last time they did that, in the 90s, it didn't bode well for them. They were happy because they didn't have any competition on the market. But it didn't bode well for them because if you remember the operating system that you said I shouldn't mention, so the Windows ME, this is the crown jewel of the Microsoft completely losing its point and trying to create 3, 4, 5 different kernels for 3 or 4, 5 different architectures, and then realizing a problem. But this problem is something that is going to be coming to the scene again once we switch to ARM.
You think so?
Yes. Yes.
Let's see that in action. I'm not exactly sure because ARM-based Windows have been around for quite a while now.
Yes, but for some reason Microsoft is not releasing them. Microsoft is trying to actively put them behind an artificial wall. This wall means that you can only run ARM Windows on a particular set of ARM processors, which is okay. I understand this. Also, you can only run virtual machines inside a Hyper-V on ARM. So this is stopping people from taking a look at what is happening in the ARM world. And the only machine that you can buy is Microsoft Project Volterra machines.
Which are cool.
Which are cool but unattainable. And this is the thing. I don't like the idea of Microsoft trying to hide something in plain sight.
Actually, I want to circle back to something that you mentioned, just for humor's sake. Most of the year, we've actually spent by me bitching about hardware, not Windows.
Yes.
And you bitching about Microsoft in large volumes. Because that's your default state, and me bitching about hardware is my default state for a variety of different reasons. I don't think that that's going to go away anytime soon. A reason being that both hardware and the Microsoft world do not provide us with ample opportunities to switch directions in some kind of a more, let's say, sustainable, positive way. But let's see. That's for the next year to judge. I mean, when I look at all of the episodes that we did, I'm also very, very glad that we did a couple of episodes about education, about motivation, about influence of social networking on people, about the mixture of old and new in terms of getting older, more experienced, mature people into IT teams and pairing them with younger ones. I got quite a few comments about that episode on my private Facebook page as well, where I linked these episodes. Afterwards, we basically went into a more, let's say, default sustained state of producing, just pumping out the episodes on a weekly basis for some of the topics that we mostly cared about at that particular time, or reminiscing about some of the things that happened in the past. And that episode about the experience versus innovation, so
Yes.
more mature versus the younger people in IT, actually jump-started a huge spike in our statistics. Not that I care all that much about it, but it was a sign of some of the things to come. Because if you follow along with the numbers, the next episode was me bitching for 50 minutes about the motherboard design, which coincidentally is still our, like by a margin of, let's say, 10-15%, the most watched episode. And the most shared episode, and I checked about this a couple of weeks ago, it is something that became a trend on YouTube afterwards as well. A lot of people from much bigger channels than ours made quite a few videos about it, much more popular and long-term, very familiar YouTubers as well. And that episode offered me a chance to kind of, we went a little bit through the history of past, let's say, 10 or so generations of motherboards, and mentioned a couple of things that annoy both of us at the end of the day, maybe a little bit more towards me than you, but still, this integration of everything without the capability to upgrade anything thing is not the way in which the industry should be going, and it's not like it's showing any sign of stopping. Recently, we did an episode in which I mentioned that the last decent motherboard that has decent PCI Express connectivity options is basically X299 based chipset. If you don't go to the modern Ryzen motherboards, which are unobtainium and incredible in terms of pricing, as you know.
They're obtainable if you are willing to pay price of a used car for a motherboard.
Exactly that. And if you're willing to wait for them for at least 5 to 6 weeks, because delivery times are...
You can get them. I tried.
Yeah.
I had to buy a Threadripper Pro
TRX 50 or something like that.
WRX 80, I think.
Okay.
And I got it in a couple of days, I think.
That's weird.
But the price was something like 1,600 euros or something.
Exactly what I'm talking
And
about.
this is I like the motherboard. I liked everything about it. I didn't like the idea of the motherboard being half-baked in the way that when they say that they're supporting 7 or 8 M2 NVMEs, what they do is they provide you with a generic ASUS card that has 4 NVMEs on it, and unification port on...
You mean the card that I gave you?
Yes.
And which I was given as well?
Yes. So the card that nobody uses because the bifurcation part doesn't work.
No, it does, but you have to have a compatible motherboard, and it's somewhat complicated.
And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I tried to do it on 5 different configurations. I only got it working on 2, and
one of them is at home.
No, and one of them is at home, and at home I cannot. Sometimes 2 of the lanes don't work because something takes over the lanes. Because we are back to the IRQ hell that we went through 30 years ago.
Come on, it was cool.
Yes, but it's amazing that 40 years after we realized that we are going to have an allocation problem, we still don't have applications or BIOSes, or however they want to call them, that are able to allocate lanes reliably to different adapters.
It's not that's the problem. It's the problem of PCI Express connectivity in general, because we don't have as many lanes as we used to. And I looked into this problem a couple of weeks ago when I got to the topic of X299 motherboard. I went through at least last 10 generations of Intel and AMD CPUs without the workstation ones.
Yes.
Trying to find CPUs that have enough PCI Express lanes. And actually the amount of PCI Express lanes, one of the things which I mentioned, is shrinking in Intel a lot, which is something that's bothering me heavily.
And I think that this is directly connected to what motherboard manufacturers are doing, because this is an excuse for Intel to, I'm not going to say save money, but they are saving real estate on the CPU, and they can do different things with the real estate. This is the first thing. And the second thing is that this gives an opportunity for the motherboard manufacturers to say, okay, we are unable to do any more PCI Express lanes.
Excuse meets an excuse.
So we can just remove the PCI connectors and so on and so on. And the thing that everybody needs to have in mind is that it's not just the PCIe lanes missing. When a motherboard producer removes a single PCIe connector from the motherboard, it saves them probably millions of dollars.
Yeah, in the long run. Yeah.
Yes, so this is one of those things where they like to remove features, and they especially like to remove connectors.
It's like Porsche. You buy a more expensive version which has less stuff in.
Yes, this is the simple reason why on modern motherboards you're going to see much less USB connectors on the motherboard itself, but you're going to be seeing USB headers for the external connectors, because it's cheaper to create USB header than to solder
and make
on
somebody buy that extra.
Yes, and then to solder on the actual USB connector on the motherboard.
And actually, that topic snowballed into laptops.
Yes,
we did an episode about laptops, which was also more than 100,000 views. Again, I bitched and moaned and ranted about laptop design for an hour or so, for similar reasons, but from a different standpoint. The standpoint of the desktop motherboard was general business use case. The standpoint of the laptops is something completely different in the episode, which is it is incredible that you can get a laptop without HDMI port and some basic stuff like
or
that.
a laptop that has only 2 ports.
Yeah, 2 USB-C Thunderbolt ports. What does it have on the other side?
Connector for the headphones.
At least it has that, because they started removing that years ago.
Yes, they started removing that, but then they realized that people still like to
People
have
made them do that.
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
But this is one of those things that is actually it's not a thing that would normally happen. Apple is not usually responding to people's requests.
Yeah.
But I think that this time they realized that they screwed up. And one of the reasons for the screw up is that they only have a single Bluetooth connector on it. You cannot connect more than one Bluetooth device reliably.
Really?
You can, but if you are trying to connect, for example, a mouse, then you are trying to connect a keyboard, external keyboard. You're trying to connect your headphones. This is not going to be reliable. This is going to work, but this is not going to be reliable.
This is news to me.
It depends on the implementation on the headphones themselves. But since people are using low grade hardware usually when they're buying headphones, especially headphones, because at home I'm using either bone conduction headphones that are 150 plus euros, or I'm using a Sony W1000 Mark II, I think, which is also
200 plus,
300 plus,
300 plus
euros. So I expect them to work. But if I try to connect something that is $25, $26, $27, it should work, but the quality of the connection is going to be bad. This is the first thing. And the other thing is people just like to reuse old hardware. They don't want to buy new headphones.
Exactly my point, yeah. You want to have the capability to use the hardware that you bought with the new computer that you upgraded or started from building from scratch.
And what happened is that people needed to buy an adapter to USB-C. Then, since this thing has only 2 USB-C ports, you need one for the power. You need then you need another for connecting your headphones. And then what?
Well, that means, as I mentioned in the episode, you have to buy a Thunderbolt hub so that you can both power the computer and then extend it with additional USB or Thunderbolt ports or whatever. But that dilutes heavily after you invest a couple of €1,000 like I did in various Thunderbolt hubs, which do work, but they are still a hassle to work with,
then
they consume a lot of space.
Then you need special the Thunderbolt cables.
I just made a big order of Thunderbolt cables because of the topic that we discussed many months ago.
Yes, and the cable I got you for the last New Year's, I saw that you posted update that the new version of this cable is not working.
Yeah. This was a couple of days ago.
Yes, which is amazing by itself.
Yeah, I just spent. I'm not overstating this. I just spent €550 without VAT on USB and Thunderbolt cables, because it's a thing, and I know you know that most of the cheaper cables just do not work, And there's actually a large, I would almost call it a scam going on with the USB cables in general, USB-C. Now I'm not talking about Thunderbolt necessarily, because most of the cables that you can buy are actually more, they are suited to a completely different market, which is how to charge your phone faster versus having a fast data connection. You can buy like a power delivery free based USB-C to USB-C cable, which can charge your phone very quickly whilst still having just USB 2. It's incredible the amount of cables that you have like that.
Yes, this is one thing, and
finding the correct cable has become an art.
And this is one thing, and the other thing is that USB 3, USB-C cables have become dangerous. Because what they're doing is they're trying to cheat people into buying cables that are supposed to be data cables capable of delivering huge amounts of power, but they are shipping out on connectors. And you simply cannot push 100 watts of power.
200 plus.
But
nowadays.
100 watts of power through a connector that has 0.25 millimeter
contact
wire in it.
Yeah.
The wire itself is the problem, because they're trying to chip out in the wire. Some of them are not using the copper wire; they're using the aluminum wire. You know that. So they are basically creating a light copper layer over the aluminum, and what you end up with is a cable that is eventually going to get on fire, because it's going to act like a fuse.
Hence the reason why I bought another one of these super expensive Apple cables, which tends to work with everything that I tried, and some of the Belkins and OWCs, but for the most part, most others just don't.
I think that what I'm going to do next, I'm going to invest in the next year, I'm going to invest in a proper USB cable tester that is able to show me, because I saw that they are now becoming a thing, it's going to be able to show me the capabilities of the cable. So not only if the cable is connected by itself, but the capabilities. So is it capable of doing the bandwidth that it is required? Is it capable of providing the power that is required? What is it trying to tell to the people who are using it? So I want to be able to sort, because both you and I probably have 20 plus, let's call it 20 or 30 plus cables in our drawers,
backpacks
and whatever. And some of those cables are good, but which ones?
Literally, when we started recording this episode, I had a problem because I removed most of the cables from my backpack. I just left 3 of them inside. 2 of them are Samsung cables from Samsung phones, and one of them is a OWC. It's USB 3.2 2x2 something. That was the only one that worked with ATEM and the external hard drive.
Yes, because the Samsung cables usually don't work because they are not intended to
data transfer at all.
Do almost no data transfer at all.
Yeah, it's just incredible. So I was actually on the verge of going to our office and or browse around the whole corporate environment that we are right now in, to ask people if they have a decent USB-C to C cable somewhere, because it was almost a situation in which we couldn't record an episode. I mean, I could record on the camera, but much prefer doing it on the ATEM for a variety of reasons.
Okay,
actually brings me to a point that I wanted to make when we started this part of the program, which is that hardware-based topics are still super popular.
Yes, they are, but I think that I'm more proud of the software-based topics, because I think that what we did when it came to software, aside of bitching about Windows 11, is
like PowerShell episode, perhaps.
No, I think that one of the most interesting things is when we did the perpetual licenses.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because this thing became a thing even more than we anticipated. You unfortunately right now are a Broadcom certified trainer, so you are going to bear the brunt of it. But also, the perpetual license that VMware, the switcheroo with the perpetual license that VMware did, is something that is becoming even more popular. And I see that all the corporations are trying to make big money out of nothing right now, just by switching people
subscriptions
from perpetual license to subscriptions, and then making these subscriptions, I wouldn't say unusable, but less of a thing that you actually want to buy. They're basically not trying to sell you a subscription that's going to be better for you. They're trying to sell you a subscription because you have to buy the subscription, and then at the same time take more money from you. I was using it. I'm using a software that was based on the number of devices that it was monitoring. It was a monitoring software. I won't name it, but the idea was that you are paying for the number of devices. Što oni moram se javiti? To nešto rekao da ovo... Halo? Dopada te slušam? Ne, stavio sam tamo napomenu da staviti iza kuće, iza vrata tamo. Znači, unutra u dvorištu, lijevo iza kuće. To može, ok, hvala. Bog. Ovo je drugi DPD, ali da. Neočekivani DPD. So, I'm using a software that is designed for monitoring devices. And the thing is that when I bought it 2 years ago, I bought a 3-year license. They had a completely simple flat fee. It was subscription-based. The idea was that you bought, the price was $1 per device per year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to monitor 500 devices, and this was the lowest number of devices that you can buy in a pack, you would pay for $500 per year, which is not that much money if you want to have the ability to track the changes, track the hardware, track the software, and so on across all the devices. This is okay. Mm-hmm. In the last year, they switched the minimum number of devices that you have to buy to 2,000. So suddenly my price for my software is 4 times higher. Mm-hmm. And because I don't need 2,000 devices. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that I cannot change anything. I have a subscription. I can either let the subscription pass, my software is going to stop working, or I need to take 4 times more expensive software, and I need to buy it. And this makes me extremely angry. And I'm right now in the middle of the exchanging of angry emails. And
again?
Yes.
I thought that you solved that one.
No, that wasn't solved because they came back and they said that they are unable to provide me with another version of subscription because they only have that subscription. And then I said, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take, you're going to create a rebate for me. You're going to give me 2,000 device subscription, but I'm going to pay it $400.
$500.
No, $400.
400, okay.
So I'm going to take a rebate there. You can do it. And right now we are in the middle of talking to each other. And this is one of those things that actually is a problem. Because when you are on a subscription, you are not only on a subscription when it comes to paying money for something. You are also bound by a contract that can change with every billing cycle.
Which leads very nicely to something that I wanted to add to that topic, which is the cloud prices, which have risen across the year multiple times, depending on which cloud service you're using. It doesn't really matter which one, and I'm not going to name them, but this is something
but we talked about those.
Yeah, we did,
yeah,
but
yes.
it's still it's actually still happening. I heard that some of the cloud providers are going to raise prices additionally after New Year's Eve. I don't know, in February or something, or March, don't really remember, but it is definitely happening. So, yeah, we definitely made good on our episode in terms of kind of like predicting that this is going to keep on happening, which is what ended up happening at the end of the day.
Then let's do the thing that we were trying to do some sort of a comment on the state of media, social media. You're jokingly talking about me liking Twitter, and we did a couple of episodes of the social media and on how to get the right news from right sources on the internet. And I think this was not so popular with the viewers, but I think this is one of those things that should be talked about. Because right now, the things have gotten worse.
Much worse.
The things have gotten worse because people lost the... I wouldn't say lost the ability, but they lost the will to try to find the right news source.
You think?
Yes, because I see that people are moving away from media that is covering any form of news.
Okay.
So because you cannot call Instagram and TikTok news.
Of course not.
Facebook is losing people. Twitter is losing people. So this is not okay.
Ugh. I don't care about Twitter, so I know that you do for a variety of real-time reasons, which you described in some of the episodes. But-
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. Yesterday, there was an earthquake close to us. And usually, before all of this, let's say a couple of years ago, when there was an earthquake, you could get instantaneous information about what is happening.
Okay.
People would start tweeting, you would see what is happening, and so on.
Okay.
Yesterday, it took Twitter something like 25 or 30 minutes to show me the part of the timeline that was saying anything about the earthquake.
Which was 24 to 29 minutes too much.
And it's not that it's too much, but the problem is that the algorithm itself is not the problem. The problem is that when Elon, or Elmo, as they called him, decided to use his X on the cost of the Twitter, when you take it for the face value, he did the good thing because I think that he reduced the number of servers by 70% or something.
And people by 80.
And people by 80. But this is not the thing. What he did, he modified the ability of the entire system to do the things that it was supposed to do. So he removed the servers that were required for optimizations, servers required for the personalization of the timeline. It removed the data analysis servers that were able to analyze the data in real time and then create some sort of an algorithm out of it, because he said that they are biased. And right now, this means that you are going to get much worse timeline that you will get getting before. And it's not the political bias. I'm also talking about simply real-time bias. You are going to get, since the algorithm is too slow because it doesn't have the backend it once had.
Okay.
It just serves you some of the tweets from the previous couple of hours endlessly. So you are just going to be created a timeline, then this timeline is going to be a couple of hours late.
So like Facebook when you're disconnected from network.
Yes, basically yes. And this is the thing that is wrong. Because the point of the Twitter was that it was real time. Now it switched to being near real time, if not basically offline. And it is going to get even worse.
You think?
Yes, because people are still relying on Twitter in some way or the other. And as long as this keeps happening, Musk is completely okay because he says that people are there. Okay, he told all the advertisers to go screw themselves. This is one of those things. Did you see the clip?
They did.
Yes, and
He's right there.
I wouldn't say that he's right.
I would.
I think that the way he did it is that he's trying to make a point, but the way he's making a point is simply rude.
It is.
Because it didn't.
You don't think that it is a reaction to other people's rudeness? I'm not trying to excuse him. I agree. It was rude and unnecessary in terms of language.
Yes, and the thing is that he's distorting the image that he should be sending. The message is completely correct, but the way he said it made it... basically, he looks like a stupid person trying to just be rude, because he doesn't have any more time. Instead of trying to explain to people why it matters that advertising should
Which he doesn't have to do.
He doesn't have to do it, but he should be doing it because he's a CEO of now a rapidly shrinking company that is worth probably $1 billion. It used to be worth $44 billion. So
He can afford it.
he can afford it, but I don't think that this is the. I still think that people who are in the limelight, people who are, let's say, defining the future, should have some sort of filter on their own behavior to just create an image what and how the communication in the public space should be done.
That's called responsibility, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
So I don't think that he was correct. He is correct.
In terms of the message, it's just the wrong delivery.
I would be much more cynical, and I would create much more sarcastic message to all the advertisers. But just being rude to them without explaining why doesn't make sense, because they are going to win.
They're not against him.
I'm not so sure.
Okay, let's circle back to that next year. Let's see what happens, because next year is going to be very big in that respect. U.S. elections and whatnot. There's a lot of things that are heavily reliant on the Twitter of the past, in a sense, are going to happen. So let's see what the outcome will be.
Yes,
and let's have a discussion about that afterwards.
Yes, because what we did is he created a perfect storm of the Twitter that is going to be much more influential on U.S. elections and much more easily manipulated by every player that has the money. Because right now he's dependent on the money, and once you need the money from outside actors, you are going to get money from outside actors, and they're going to buy their influence in.
I think that it's completely the opposite, but let's see what happens. Okay, after that we did a couple of software/technology-based episodes about laptop software, and we kind of started a list of episodes about a little bit more nostalgic topics as well. Yes. About old computers, about our computers when we were younger and whatnot. Amstrad, the C64, some old operating systems. And also, one of the things that very much surprised me, we did a couple of episodes about ARM and 6502, which will have their follow-ups rather soon. That's something that you're working on. And those episodes surprised me heavily because they were super popular with people, considering the relative obscurity of the topic, looking from the general broad perspective. Okay? Not from the IT specialist programmer, something system embedded programmer perspective, just from general topic perspective. It surprised me heavily. I knew that it's going to be okay, that it was much more than okay.
I think that the thing that you are missing here is that all the people who are coming into IT and have some sort of motivation in IT, I'm not talking about people who have to work in IT. I mean in heavy quotes. But people who are working in IT, after a couple of years working, suddenly realize that all the processors like 6502, Z80, and Motorola's and whatnots are fundamental things to learn. Mm-hmm. And suddenly they become interested because 6502 is such a simple processor that somebody who has a couple of years experience in IT can comprehend the entirety of it. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those things when you actually see it as an accomplishment. Let's talk music, because you're the music guy. Right now, if I wanted you to explain how, I don't know, a Moog works.
What?
A Moog.
Moog,
whatever the pronunciation is, you would be able to do it. You would be able to understand the schematics and everything else.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, if I said to you, okay, now let's choose one of the top Korg keyboards right now, you can try to explain how they work.
Oh, I could do that much more easily.
Yes, but then when it comes to details, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Well, I would.
But even the processors and the DSPs.
Yeah, I'm much more familiar with them than the analog synthesis. But
yes, but
I understand what you're getting
I'm trying to make
the
point of the amount of knowledge required, for example, to explain how a DSP works, and the amount of knowledge required to explain how
analog synthesis works.
And analog synthesis loop works is enormous.
Yeah.
So you can actually take apart a simple synthesizer and create a mental picture of it.
Yeah.
And this is the same with 6502.
I agree. No, your metaphor stands definitely. Not on me because I was used to work for a core distributor, had a
Yes, you
relationship with
have
them,
a
blah blah
problem.
blah.
You have a
I have a
problem.
problem. Yeah,
You,
I
you
don't
have
have
a
a
problem.
problem. No.
But even with you, we could probably find a
Yeah.
synthesizer that you wouldn't be able to understand completely. You would need
Yeah.
to study and study and study to understand how different things work. Not
Yeah, I
be,
don't understand Yamahas, for example, at all.
not because you are stupid or unintelligent, but because the technology has become so advanced that not a single person understands it completely.
Yeah, especially in digital sense, you're completely correct. And
So
workstations, it's so many options, so many menus and sub-menus and sub-menus and whatnot of features that it's really difficult to
and
kind of
then the
understand. Yeah,
add-ons that nobody wanted, so Bluetooth connectivity, USB, multiple USB connectivity, MIDI connectivity, USB 3, USB 2, wireless connectivity, being able to read cards and so on. Having a dedicated, let's remember that all the synthesizers right now need to have a dedicated operating system to be able to read
the floppies.
micro SD cards, and then they need to be able to read NTFS. They need to be able to read
The fats and
FETs,
whatnot.
XFETs, and so on and so on. So basically, you're including half a Linux there.
Yeah, yeah, I have no problem with that.
Yes and no, but this requires you to understand how this half of Linux is interacting with the rest of the synthesizer.
No,
With
you're
602 or a Moog, that's just it. You have an input, you have an output, and
something in between.
you do funny things with waveforms, and that's it.
Yeah, just like yeah, I'm completely with you. Your metaphor stands for
And
general population is absolutely on the money. And we have to start. Actually, you have to start in hurry producing some more 6502 episodes because our computer architecture course is coming up very soon, and those episodes need to be ready for that.
I'm right now inclined to not do this. I'm inclined to completely switch the architecture.
No
I'm inclined.
connection refused.
I'm inclined to switch to Z80
No.
because what I want to do is I want a processor that is able to do context switching, and
That's cool. You can do it afterwards. No problem.
we'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
Because I really need to do context switching.
All of a sudden, Yasmin has shrunk
I have absolutely no idea why.
because the chairs.
Okay. Now you and improved.
New and improved. Yeah, version 1.1 alpha.
Okay, so what I want, and what I need is to have the context change. But this is the thing that makes old processors interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
If I say I want to, for people to understand how context switching works, and then I say I need Z80, both you and me know why. And this is one of those things.
People need to know why.
No, it's not only people need to know why, but there was a thing in each of the processors that make it unique, and people
They are valuable, not only unique.
but also unique because people were learning as they went, naming things, RQs, creating, for example, NMI names. You got names because people who were designing the thing decided they're going to use this abbreviation or whatever, and then this abbreviation became the abbreviation for all the other processors ever
afterwards.
after.
Yeah, I know. I made a metaphor in one of the recent episodes about the old analog pedals for guitars. I actually got quite a few comments on that on LinkedIn and in my private Facebook page, especially from our students who understand the metaphor because it was a little bit, off the shelf and maybe for a narrower audience, but still people understand what I wanted to say, which is, again, those old processors, people who started working on them got it right from the first try. That's the major difference to what's happening today.
It's that thing, and the other thing is that if they didn't get it right, they could fix it quickly. Because 602, for example, they had they had something that is completely incomprehensible now. They had opcodes that weren't used because they had to create them, and they had opcodes that weren't documented. And then they decided to keep some of them, to change some of them, to create different versions of opcodes and so on, just by simply saying, okay, this is going to be the standard part of the processor, and then we are going to create a new version that's going to have this many opcodes that are going to be additional opcodes for additional things. Or if you wanted to do something like a fast moving of bits in the memory, you got bit shifts and all the different operations required for that in a separate version of the processor, because it wasn't complicated.
In one of the episodes, while we're on the topic of CPUs, and we're going to keep on piling episodes about CPUs, many of them are coming in the future. In some of the episodes, we discussed Apple's M1, M2 CPUs as well, and we made an episode about Apple's mobile lineup and how it's completely confusing, and M3 and whatnot. We also discussed the topic of integration between the CPU and the memory. I explicitly stated that that's the correct design of the CPU in multiple episodes. You also agreed with that because it's fundamentally the correct way to do it. And it's exactly what's happening on the market right now. Barring one or two sub-generations that couldn't be called sub-generations of x86 CPUs, the integration of memory on the CPU is coming very quickly, probably in already the next, if not that, the second to next architecture of Intel and AMD CPUs.
I think that the next thing that we are going to see is going to be the CPUs that are going to have pins on both sides. You're going to have.
We used to have that.
Yes and no.
ZIF.
Yes and no, ZIF. But the thing that we are going to have is we are going to have pins on both sides. So you're going to have a side that is going to be facing motherboard, and then the side that is going to be facing the memory.
Which means CPU extendability, which would be cool.
No. I just think that they are going to be starting with the memory.
Yeah, the amount of thousands of pins that they're going to have for all of that definitely points in the direction of a really complicated electronic design and all of the context that they're going to need.
I don't think that the problem right now that they're facing is the technology required.
No, it's not the technology problem. It's just the packaging problem.
It's a packaging problem, but I think that the problem is not with the packaging itself. I think the problem is the thermals. You cannot get 300 or plus watts out of the CPU out if you have the memory in the way.
Yeah.
So you need some sort of probably a piping of a sort between the memory and the. I think that we are going to be
micro channels of water or something.
I see that maybe slot 1 is going to be.
That would be so awesome. Yeah, I get where you're going with this.
Because the slot 1 is the only way to solve both of those problems. So you can sandwich the CPU between the memories and then create the terminal channel for the. And
not only that, it has enough area and space.
Yes.
Slot 1 was like 10 to 12 centimeters wide.
So I see that we are going to be seeing probably something called daughter boards for the CPUs.
I cannot wait for the return of something like a ZIF socket 486 to Pentium. Those things were inventive for the era, yet quite unpopular.
I don't know what the motherboard manufacturer is going to do then.
I don't
because
care.
If you integrate a CPU on a daughter board together with the memory,
and let's say AI engines, which
AI
are
engines,
also in
so
CPUs.
What are you going to be left with the motherboard? USB connections and
I don't know. That's enough for me.
Probably power stabilizing circuitry.
Yeah.
And this can also be a daughter board because you know that because some motherboards.
It used to. Not only that, it used to be a norm.
Yes. So. I see interesting thing in the future.
Yeah, you have your crystal ball.
No, I'm just trying to read the table.
Deductive reasoning.
Read the room and try to understand what is going to happen next. So the next thing that we were talking, and I see that we did a lot of talking about this,
DevOps?
were the laptops. No, the laptops.
Laptops. Okay.
Because we were covering them from
multiple different angles.
Multiple topics. So you were ranting about connectors, which is completely fine.
Yeah, design, basically.
We were talking about the ability of the laptops to be... first, we talked about refurbished laptops.
Yes.
We talked about how it doesn't make any sense to buy a new laptop right now.
I got slapped on the topic yesterday by my partner. Because I wanted to buy her, I ordered the M3 thing, I did.
The new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's actually this you know the story. It doesn't need to be told. But she told me, yeah, I don't care about Apple anymore at all, and I never did. It looks cool and everything, but for me, the Lenovo that you bought me a couple of months ago makes much more sense. I mean, slapped. It's a figure of speech, but she also makes a very valid point. I bought her a small X1 Carbon or something like that.
You bought a X1 Carbon or Yoga? I don't think, but
I
it was
don't
an
remember.
X1.
Yeah,
Can it be a Swift all the way?
it can.
So it's a Yoga. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, she loves that laptop to death because it has everything that she needs and more. It's very light, easy to charge, and has all the connectors in the world that she needs.
Yes, and this is one of the reasons why we recommended during the year. We recommended either buying a used ThinkPad or buying a new MacBook M1.
Yeah, I am going to. Actually, you prophetically announced when I said that I'm getting an M3. You said that if you try it, you're probably not going to give it away. That's it's going to end up exactly that situation, but for a different reason. I really didn't plan to keep it, but I'm going to use it to do video editing because it's significantly faster than some of the things that I have. Coincidentally, that's going to be definitely a topic of one of the episodes because recently I had the chance to test out DaVinci on my 3900K versus M1 versus M2, and I have a lot of stuff that I want to discuss there.
Yes, but how much? Just to make a quick preview, how quicker was your desktop computer based on 13900K
and and 1660 Super.
Yes, so compared to
compared to
M1.
Let's compare it to M2. This is the
no. Let's compare it to M1.
I don't have M1 comparison to do right now. I have M1 at home, but I didn't. I don't have enough licenses, so I keep it on my M2 Mac Mini. The difference in Magic Mask performance, which is the most important thing for us to mask the backgrounds, whatnot, was 8 FPS versus 11. 8 FPS on M2, regular one, non-pro version, versus 3900K with 1660 Super, which is okay in percentage. It's 40% difference. It's easy to calculate. But in terms of power envelope and the amount of money needed to assemble a computer versus buying a Mac Mini, I mean, it's just crazy. Yes. Super efficient on Mac.
Yes, and this is the thing that I wanted to mention, is that the Macs may be slower in some of the tests because they are.
Yeah.
But
gaming, for example.
For example, this M1 is probably, and we said that this is the best laptop for the last year.
Yeah.
Simply because the cost effectiveness of it is better than any Windows laptop.
And I'm now seriously reconsidering my stance on Mac Studio or maybe just Mac Minis or maybe the bigger laptops. Because right now, as opposed to 3900K system that I have, something like M3 Ultra or something turbo diesel M3 or M2 based, all of a sudden starts making a hell of a lot of sense.
I saw that today
for this specific use case.
I saw today that since they are going to be creating a MacBook Pro that is going to be basically M3 Studio with the screen, that the Studio will not make any sense at all anymore.
They are crazy expensive, so.
Yes, but both of those are crazy expensive.
Yeah. Actually, the topic of laptops was very, very dear to me all the way through our first season, as evidenced by me constantly harping on about, let's do another laptop episode, let's do another one. I'm very happy that we did that from all of the perspectives that we discussed, refurbishing different models, whatever, the architecture, design, etc. We're going to keep on pounding on that in the future as well because A, it's an interesting topic, B, it never ends.
Yes.
And C, new models are constantly coming up. Even without discussing performance, there are plenty of topics to discuss in the laptop space. And if you don't have any additional laptop discussions, feel free to interrupt me. But the next topic that we covered heavily is DevOps.
Yes.
And we are going to, again, keep on pounding on that topic for many, many, many months to come. I have 2 episodes already in the works for Ansible. We decided one of the things that we are going to work on in the next year is going to be dedicated episodes on certain topics like DevOps for me and 65 or 2, Z80, whatever for you, in which we are going to go at it alone without the discussions. This is what we discussed a couple of weeks ago, because you specifically said that in some of the Ansible episodes that we did, you felt like a third wheel with me discussing the Ansible code that I was doing, showing examples and whatnot, which was a valid thing to say. Yeah, I completely agree with you upon reflection. So we can do those solo. In terms of, let's say, programming aspect. Let's call that for what it is. DevOps is basically programming as well. So
I think
that's
that the DevOps is going to become politics soon,
Mm-hmm.
because IBM has been heavily trying to break the entirety of the DevOps community.
Didn't notice the where and how and what are they doing.
Right now, they're just creating a FUD. So uncertainty, despair, and fear among users. Because right now, when you take a look at technology landscape, when it comes to virtualization, Broadcom has completely opaque idea what's going to happen next. So the future is not
Clear at
all.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they're going to be switching people from perpetual license to subscriptions. We know that they're going to liquidate a lot of partners, because you saw the
The articles point in that direction.
No, they sent an email.
Yeah, I know.
They sent the email, and I think that the reason why they're doing it is because partners have heavy discounts on licenses.
I don't think it's that, but okay.
Yes, because I'm speaking from a perspective of a guy who knows a couple of guys who are running companies.
And you are buying those licenses as well.
Yes, and I know a couple of guys who are running companies here in Croatia who barely met the limit for the
$500,000 or what?
I think the limit was even less. I think it's something like $300,000.
No, they are. The articles point for that to be the lowest limit.
Yes, but the limit for becoming the partner before was much lower.
Yeah.
So once you became a partner, you got much cheaper licenses.
Okay.
And it made sense for you to just create a sale of two to get the license, to get the partner status, and then to use the license for your own good. So the license itself became cheap. And we are talking about right now. We are talking about tens of thousands of euros plus or minus in licenses, and that makes a lot of makes a big chunk of what a small company, a small IT company, has to pay for different things. And I think that Broadcom is trying to get rid of those companies, because they are trying to stop money leaking through small companies.
Yeah, I understand.
And this is one of those things. The other thing is that Ansible and what IBM is doing is completely unfathomable. I don't understand what is going to happen.
I didn't notice anything new happening in that new space.
And this is the thing that bothers me, because I didn't see any actually official announcement of anything, other than apparently there are some topics that I'm not going to mention today, but I'm going to point to Linus Landak review, because he has quite a few leaks in the last few days from IBM, which are completely insane.
Okay, have to check those out.
Yes, but I'm not going to go into details because they're extremely political. The thing is that technology is going to be a big thing in the next year.
Oh yes,
Intel is going to have an uphill struggle trying to explain to people why they're pushing for what is basically completely different architecture, dressed up as a 15th generation of Intel's processors.
Okay.
Windows is going to become more ARM-oriented because they have to. Apple is going to push M4 and M5 probably in the next year. I guess that M3 is going to become mainstream, and then they're going to announce M4. They're probably going to announce the unification of iPads and the laptops, because right now they can do it. Basically, this is an iPad with a keyboard. When it comes to power, and when it comes to everything, including all the components inside.
It's a logical next step.
So we are going to see major changes. The only thing that is right now missing from the puzzle, and nobody's talking about those. And I want to mention this because I was recapping what is happening in the last year, and I realized that we are not mentioning one big thing. Nobody is talking about databases. And the database environment, Microsoft versus Oracle versus SAP, is also an exciting thing because Oracle is losing. Microsoft is becoming better at creating databases. Because you remember when the Oracle said that if anybody is able to create the database that is close to the performance of the Oracle database, they're going to pay him, what was it, $1 million
I don't know.
or something.
Yeah, you're good with remembering crap like
Yes. And it doesn't stand anymore. And Microsoft SQL as a service is an amazing opportunity. It actually makes sense. Unlike almost all the other things that Microsoft is pushing.
By the way, one of the biggest hardware changes that are going to happen in next year is related to memory. New memory packaging is coming, as you're going to see.
Yes. So I saw it. What is it? Dell is pushing for it.
Dell is one of the first that have. No, it's not Dell pushing. Everybody is pushing for it.
Yes, but who created it?
It's a JDAC standard thing.
So no. It was created by somebody, I think by Dell, and then they pushed it for JDAC to become a standard. So basically, they gave the patents away in order to create the higher memory density because they need higher memory density in the new devices.
Yeah,
and I think this is they are trying to stop. They are trying to stop CPU manufacturers from doing their own thing.
They're not going to stop them.
I know. But the thing is that suddenly you are going to have a big split between the devices that are going to be upgradable and devices that are definitely not going to be upgradable.
Which that market is actually growing heavily and very quickly.
Yes, and the laptop manufacturers don't like this. Because they need to create different SKUs.
They need to have different market position. They need to offer something.
And it's not that only. They also have to create different physical laptops. So additional production lines, additional engineering
design changes,
and so on. So you cannot anymore. You are not going to be able to say, okay, this is the base laptop, then upgrade it to this. Because this is not going to be a base laptop upgraded. This is going to be a completely different motherboard with completely different components.
Okay.
And this makes sense from the perspective of manufacturer of the laptops.
Okay.
But it does make sense from the user perspective, because users want faster memory.
Yeah, we all want faster memory because it's the bottleneck.
And the memory that is connected directly to the CPU is going to be faster than any JDAC standard.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, to kind of bring this episode to a close, in the last three or four episodes or 5, we did 2 episodes with guests.
Yes.
As well. So one with our colleagues who are professors here, and one with a student. This is also a pattern that's going to keep on happening in the next year. We have a couple of them scheduled. Actually, we were supposed to record one today, but we're unable to do some unforeseen circumstances. But this is going to be also a reoccurring topic next year, because we want to put some of the things that we do into perspective for our potential viewers, and also we feel privileged to be a part of, let's say, an environment in which you can actually give something away, not necessarily just take something, which is knowledge that we have, and that's always good. And these episodes like DevOps and, let's say, Programming 6502 or ARM or whatever, which are good, we are going to do, are also a wider part of that story, because we want to reach an audience that is interested in that and grow based on it as well.
Okay.
We're not going to become a political talk show. That's definitely not going to happen. IT political.
But I think that becoming a political IT talk show is completely impossible from our part of the world.
Why?
Because we are not that much into IT politics. We are not moving thousands of billions of dollars in market share.
Okay.
So
we're a statistical error.
We're a statistical error, and when we are talking with people who are moving hundreds of billions of dollars, because we had those interviews while we were working in the IT magazines. We are just bystanders. They can understand that we are interested in topics, but it's like me talking to a guy from, I don't know, Australia about Tasmanian tigers. It just, they know that I'm interested in what is happening, but I'm not going to see a Tasmanian tiger anytime soon.
Okay.
So I don't think that the political topics in the IT make any sense when it
It
comes
was a
to...
joke.
No, when it comes to interviews. But
Okay.
we're going to do politics in the... Because what we need to do is we need to do the IT woke episode.
No, we don't.
Yes. we need because the last episode that we...
You are my only friend in this room.
Yes. What was that, the Hamlet?
Yeah.
It was the Hamlet moment when you...
Very bad reenactment, yes.
This is an it.
It is it.
We had the episode that we recorded yesterday. We tried to define
Please don't.
the pronouns for the chat AI. Please take a look at the episode. It's in the very end of the episode. But I think that this also needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Okay. Like, share, subscribe. We are at the end of the episode. So thank you for watching us, listening to us yet again. And we'll see each other in the next episode.
So, and this being the only podcast on the internet that is not mentioning its own name during the episode, this has been the ThatITShow for the year 2023.
Cough, 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 Mr. Kaufman.
Thank you for being with us.
Bye.